pretend that I was like I didn't even speak English. So
Type stuff into Google Translate real fast.
Yeah. No uploading, please.
Hello. Hello to you too. I'm sure like I didn't understand what that was.
Alright. So, who's recording that?
Some silence. Hot twist, the pen is not my new sword. Hot twist, the pen is not the sword. Hey man, you need a sword for multiple purposes. I'll bring you to a gunfight and hopefully get you killed.
Please edit all these videos into like.
Who stole the freaking battery? Doesn't have your battery in here. Like someone went in there and took a battery.
Someone just really good to use a calculator. That is such a mood though. Did you check that one for a battery?
The light came out of this one.
We need someone to go through it like all the time inside.
Oh, your stylus is set up. Oh, is this being recorded?
This is, yes.
Oh my gosh.
You know the new ones you just kept.
Chris like tapping the screen.
The new smartphone?
Yeah.
Oh.
What
good does that do me?
Hello class. Finally figured something out.
Limits algebraically. Again, and always, what are limits finding?
Why not?
Y values. That's why we spell it with a Y to hopefully remind you of that. The easiest type, I mean, you'll get some of these maybe on your homework. I don't think I've ever seen one of these on the AP test. I could be wrong, though. Something like this, like limit as x approaches 2 of x squared minus 4. Where all you have to do, like, if I want to find the y value of that, what do? Well, just plug it in. This would be 2 squared minus 4, so 4 minus 4. And that'd be 0. That's the only one of those we're going to practice because they're super simple and they just don't come up. I think they beat us like, those are too easy, we're not going to put them up there. What will typically happen when you try to do it algebraically is you will get a 0 on the bottom or a 0 in both spots. And then we'll have to try a different method because that doesn't, like 0 on the bottom means undefined, that's useless. 0 on the top and bottom actually means they're discontinuity, and we'd have to like do something to go forward with that too. We'll talk more about that later. But here's an example. Let's say limit as x approaches 3 of x squared minus 9 over x squared minus x minus 6. So if you try to plug 3 into this, you're going to get 0 on the bottom, and you're actually going to get 0 on the top too, but that doesn't really matter. Once you get 0 on the bottom, you're just kind of stuck. So plugging in that technique fails, which is going to fail on almost every problem in here. Then you look for like other things you can do. Other things you could do would include factoring, expanding, expanding, or rationalizing. Expanding would be when you have like something squared. So you got like a binomial squared. It's supposed to say plus or minus. So I'm doing that. Something plus or minus something squared. So a binomial squared turns into a binomial squared turns into a trinomial. But then you might have to like, you might be able to cancel stuff after that. Rationalizing, you're going to have some kind of square root in there somewhere. Factoring, you're going to look at it and you're going to hopefully be like, okay, I can factor that. So, minus 3. How can I factor the bottom? So you try to multiply to be negative 6, add up to negative 1, so that's minus 3 and plus 2. This cancels, which is good because the fact that 3 minus 3 gives you 0 was the entire problem. Like that's why we couldn't plug it in the first place. Now I revert back to like my first technique, so now I'm going to try to plug it again. So now I can put 3 in, and I'll get 3 plus 3 over 3 plus 2. So that would be 6/5. That's really just a canceling problem. Or a factoring problem. Questions there? You guys did this stuff last year, right? Give me this. Thumbs up is like, that's super easy, I feel good about it. Thumbs down is I don't know what you're talking about. Flip me off if you feel like it, whatever. Okay. Alright, let's say
Playing a dangerous game.
try that one. This is tougher. There's 2 ways you can approach this actually. I'll go through both of them. There's just like 2 different ways you can think about your factoring, I guess. Either method, there's like a little trick you gotta do. Anybody think that answer? Is it that you can negative 2/3? Get on my head so much. That'd be good. Believe it's like
I actually
you got positive.
sorry.
I still believe it's like I could be wrong. Alright, so one way I could do this would be to factor the top. That's the difference of squares. So when I had like x squared minus 4, it turned into x plus 2x minus 2, right? If I have 4 minus x squared, what's it going to turn into? 2 minus x 2 plus x. Like the order matched. So that would turn into 2 minus x 2 plus x on the top. On the bottom, I get x plus 4, x minus 2. Well, I can't cancel 2 minus x with x minus 2. Those are not the same. What could I do at this point? Yeah. So I can't multiply by negatives. I multiply the top by negative, I have to multiply the bottom by negative.
Yeah, you
So
take the negative out.
factor out a negative.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, so what I could do here is, would you agree that if I factor a negative 1 out of this, I'll get negative 2 plus x on the inside?
Yep.
Those are the same, right? I'm just rewriting. I didn't change it. I didn't multiply by a negative, divide by a negative. I just rewrote it. And I took out a negative 1. And now can I cancel something? So now they don't look identical, but isn't negative 2 plus x the same as x minus 2? You get a positive and negative match. So now those will go away. And now I can plug in. So I get negative 2 plus 2 over 2 plus 4. So negative 4 6. Then I would not reduce that. If your answer can simplify, you don't have to. So if you, for some reason, put negative 4 6, and then you were just had a little brain fart, and you were like, oh, that's negative a half, you'd lose points. Where if you just stopped here, you wouldn't lose anything. There's no benefit to continuing. There's no benefit to reducing, so just stop there. Like, I'm not, it's not wrong if you do negative 2/3, but there's just no upside, so I don't see the reason to do it. Yeah. No, I can do it separately. the way it looked at first, and you're like, well, I'm used to the x squared being in front, so I'm just gonna kind of talk through the top part. So I'm gonna flip the top part to be negative x squared plus 4, because that's the same thing, right? Then I'm gonna factor out a negative 1 here. Then I'm gonna factor that x squared minus 4 into x plus 2x minus 2. And you'll end up at like the same spot when you go through it. Your bottom would still be x plus 4x minus 2. Those would go away, and you'll still end up with negative 4 over 6. And you still need that trick of factoring out a negative 1. It's just a question of do you do it before you factor that first thing or after you factor that first thing. So either one of those is legit. Questions on that one?
Wait, so then you're multiplying it by negative 1, so technically isn't that?
I'm not multiplying by negative 1.
Then why is there a negative sign there?
You talking about right there?
No.
Right there?
No.
Do you want to circle it?
The other one.
This one?
No. Down there.
Here?
Oh.
With the
Here?
other.
Yes.
Here.
Yes. Where's that negative sign come from?
Okay. Can I erase it and like rewrite? Okay. Alright, do you agree that that's the same as that? We're gonna have a real problem if you don't agree with that. Okay. Do you agree that this is the same? Like if I foiled that, 2 times 2 is 4, x times negative x is negative x squared, and what would happen to the negative 2x and the positive 2x? Like cancel, and you'd end up with this. You convinced? Okay, now, do you agree that 2 plus x can be written... Nope, wrong one, sorry. Do you agree that 2 minus x could be written as negative 1 times negative 2 plus x? Like, are those... I didn't multiply by anything, I just rewrote it. Or if I distributed this, would I end up with this? I would. So I didn't change it, I didn't multiply, I just factored out to rewrite it. And then this just fell down. And then if I like put the bottom back in there, this guy and this guy are now the same, even though they're written in a different order. The x is positive, the 2 is negative. And that negative 1 is just like left over. That's what the negative came from.
So you're not multiplying it, but it's just there?
It's just rewritten. It's just like factoring. If I had like 8 up here and 2 down here, you guys would all just make that 4, but what really is happening is you're rewriting the 8 as 4 times 2, and then canceling out those 2's. It's the same idea. I just need to rewrite it so that my signs will match up so that I can cancel. So let's practice another one. Another similar, but not identical. So let's say limit as x approaches 5 of 25 minus x squared, this is going to be a little different, over x squared minus 5x. Wait, don't do that yet, hold on.
Yeah, that works.
That works? Okay, keep going.
Oh, that's what it is.
If you want to get shaped at mine, you run over by a track.
Yeah, so you multiply by negative.
And the track is it's a rate. Yeah, it's very good when I'm always faster like this. Not even in the class. No, it's the gator. It's the gator.
So we were like talking about
We were talking about the gator.
Yeah,
Did
it's
you
Chuck
get
Norris.
negative 2?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Alright, so I can go through the other way if you want to, but I think what most people probably do, actually I don't really know, but I'm going to make this 5 minus x, 5 plus x, and see what happens. Maybe that'll cancel. And then the bottom, I'm surprised I didn't get like 20 questions on this. That's good. How do I factor that? What can I take out an x, and then that's x minus 5. And you're not there yet, but you can see that you're close. And so there's a little shortcut trick you can use too. If I have like, so here's the shortcut. If I have negative if I have a minus b over b minus a, that's going to equal the same thing every single time. What is it going to equal? It's going to equal negative 1. So like the top, if you took out a negative 1, it'd be negative a plus b, and the bottom is really negative a plus b also, and those will cancel, you get negative 1. So you can kind of shortcut it when you get better at it and be like, okay, those two are going to give me negative 1, and then like work with the rest. Or you can rewrite it and say, okay, this is really negative 1 times negative 5 plus x. I'm like splitting it. Then these two are the same. So this is where you could have just jumped and been like, okay, cancel those, put a negative 1. So you can kind of skip to it a little bit. Then if you plug everything in, you should get negative 10 over 5, which is negative 2. How many had negative 2? Questions I can answer? What are you doing with this stuff? What's going on? What's happening here? Okay.
I wonder that sometimes about this class, but not really about this
I
math.
wonder that about me sometimes. Alright, let's say I should try this one.
I have a lot of anger. Chill. I'm good as x approaches. It's as if it's just x.
Shut up!
As approaches any number, you choose.
As x approaches.
Maybe we both need to go to anger management over that.
Hey, where's free pizza?
Did you go do it?
No.
Oh.
That's just how he tries to lure
I know,
people
it
in.
just, yeah, I know.
No. If you really
There's
want
actually
to
an
do
anger
it,
management
there's
class.
real
Yes.
pizza.
Yes.
Runs there, tries to real
It's
pizza.
owned by
There's
who?
real
Yeah,
pizza.
He pays for the pizza with his own money.
Who is this?
Mr.
Steak
Man.
and pizza? Like, I don't understand.
He pays for the pizza with his own money. He orders pizza from a pizza place.
He's a super nice dude.
He is a really
He
nice
really
guy.
is.
He's like the only person who just eat rainbows.
Really?
Couldn't you just like plug
Hey,
in?
shut up! I want you to try the problem. Like, everybody to try the problem. Not Caleb to try it, and then tell everyone else what he thinks. I really do think that.
Okay. Well,
So, Dave,
I
I go
found-
to your anger management
I
class.
Heard this
think
real pizza.
I found
Okay,
something.
so.
I'm gonna try that.
should I go through it or should I wait a second?
Wait a second.
Okay.
But like you can get like store bought like nice pizza that's kind of gross.
But that's like just expensive.
You can get like they're like Jack pizzas for like $1. So you have to get a couple. And some of them holding it like it's pretty fake. Like I've been it's not so pizza.
Okay.
But it's
Well, let me go through it and then ask you. So, if I plug in 0 now, like that's my first attempt all the time. If I plug in 0 now, what happens? Plug in 0 on the bottom. So then, there's a couple ways you can look at this. Some people will see this as a factor and cancel problem, and some people will just see it as a cancel problem. So some people will look at this and be like, okay, I can take an x squared out of both of these. And then they'll write the inside as 4x minus 3. I can take an x squared out of the bottom, which would leave me 5x plus 2. Then they'll cancel out the x squareds, plug in 0, and you get negative 3 over 2. Perfectly valid way to do it. And if you're doing it the other way, this is really what's happening. You're just shortcutting it. So what else you might have done is been like, well, there's 3, 2, 2, 3, so I'm going to take x squared out of everywhere. Which will leave me an x there, nothing there, nothing there. Or leave me an x there. And then plug in 0 and you end up with negative 3 over 2. So it's just like 2 different routes to the same situation. Which way upsets you?
One where you're like scribbling. Basically.
It bothers you how you
That
scribble.
bothers like just a
Yeah, it does.
Anger management. I'll go with you if you want. I don't care how you did it. I only got a negative 3x. Questions on that? Did you have a question? Okay.
Are you allowed to just graph these and then
You won't have a calculator.
What?
You won't have a calculator.
Oh, you won't?
So remember half the AP test. Half the AP test you get a calculator, half that you don't. A lot of my tests I just won't get a calculator at all. So graphing it is not really an option. So you gotta know how to do it both ways.
This is fun.
Stop what?
What? Wait. All I heard is Mahani anger kids and decimals. What?
Mahani often will,
Wait, what?
Wait.
I have her now.
Yeah.
She lets you have your Chromebook out and use decimals.
However, there's also like a bunch of stuff where they.
It's like saying you can use Wolfram Alpha on your test.
No, because the teacher, there's like stuff on your Chromebook.
You can close my school, you know.
Very shit, Lily.
Sorry. There's always finger management though.
I know. Alright, if I give you that, so this is a different technique. You plug in 0, what happens? You know, in 0 at the bottom, so we're kind of stuck. Like, okay, what are we going to do? You can't factor it, it is factored. Like, x plus 4 squared is the factored version. So we're going to have to try the opposite direction. So this is one where I would look at, can I expand this, and then will anything cancel, it'll make my life easier. Remember when you square x plus 4, so a binomial squared is a trinomial. There's 3 ways to get to it. You can say I'm going to square the first term, I'm going to multiply those 2 together, but there'd be 2 of those, so I'm going to double it. I'm going to square the last term. That's the short part. Square the first, multiply them together and double it, square the last. You could do FOIL, or you could do like the boxes. You guys know what I mean by the boxes?
Yeah.
So if you want to go like x plus 4, you got x squared, 4x, 4x. That's why there's 2 of them. And then 16, and you end up here. Then,
We all need to go.
please stop. Drop down the minus 16, and I've still got my x. This is still a limit problem, so I'm still writing this over here. And now you got some stuff that's going to cancel. So what happens to the 16s? They're just gone. And now, what's in every single term? An x. So again, we can do this 2 ways. You can go, okay, that's x times x plus 8 over x. Cancel them out and say that's x plus 8. Or you could just like, I'm going to piss people off, I guess, but I'll take an x from there, an x from there, and 1 from there, and I'm left with x plus 8. That's not my answer, though. What do I still have to do? So I'm still plugging 0. So 0 plus 8 would be 8. So your goal is to cancel something out. We're just doing it, we're kind of the opposite. We're expanding instead of factoring.
Could you use square roots, or would that just be like messy?
What are you going to square root?
Like, because x plus 4 was already squared, so get rid of that square.
So you're going to like square root the whole thing?
Yes. Would that just be messy?
Yeah, let's not do that.
Okay.
Okay. Let's try limit as x approaches 0 of x plus 2 to the third minus 8 over x. So that's the third. So you gotta FOIL it, and then do it again. So the hard part of this problem is like the algebra, not the calculus. I'm just going through like one way you could expand that out. You could do it a different way. Have you guys learned like how you could actually use Pascal's triangle to do this?
Yeah.
So that's another way. I don't think it's really worth taking the effort to do. It doesn't take you that much time, but I don't think it's worth me taking the effort to teach. If you know it, I think it's a good thing to do. I'm not going to take much time to go through it. So this is x plus 2 cubed. You guys agree?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the hard part. And then once I plug back in, it's just like cancel out and go from there. Quiet, please. That's a common thing too. You guys will cube it and you'll write this and not that. You kind of forget that minus 8 was up there and then nothing cancels. Stuff. So make sure you bring down that minus 8. That's what causes, or what allows those to go away. Then I can take an x out of everything. So I get x squared plus 6x plus 12. Now I can plug in 0. And my answer will be 12. Somebody had 12. Nice. Questions? Alright, you guys are kicking ass. Kicking butt. Sorry, just...
This means you're the teacher.
I didn't teach this stuff anything. Let's say...
Actually, I was smarter taught by my friend.
Actually, yeah, that you learned from Khan Academy. Say I gave you that. So plug in 5, what happens? You get 0 at the bottom. There's nothing to, well, I can factor the bottom. Like I can factor that into x plus 5, x minus 5. But that's not really going to help me, right? Like I still have this square root thing on top. So it's not the reciprocal. It's called it's the conjugate.
Whatever that is.
Well, I mean, I know what you mean, but I want to say it right too. So what I want to do when there's a square root involved, so this is, think of this as blah minus blah. I want to multiply by blah plus blah. You change the sign, that's called the conjugate. So I'm going to multiply by the square root of x plus 4 plus 3. And that's going to fix some things on top for us. But if I do it to the top, what else do I have to do? I have to do it to the bottom. And so let's look at what happens to the top. I'm just going to like FOIL this without writing everything down. FOIL would be, the first would be those two. What's root x plus 4 times root x plus 4? It's x plus 4. Now these two that I'm going to put in black, this and this, what will happen to those? They just cancel. So I have a positive 3 times whatever, minus 3 times whatever. And then what's negative 3 times 3? negative 9. On the bottom, now might be a good time for me to, okay, let's actually factor this and make it x plus 5, x minus 5. And then I have this other crap here that, like, I put on to help the top, but it just has to go to the bottom also. Now it just kind of looks like a mess. But it's fine. It'll work out. So what is really on the top now is x minus 5, right? That's really x minus 5. Then that cancels with that. You see what I'm doing? And now I can plug in 0 because I've eliminated, like, the 5 minus 5 being 0 was the problem. So now I've eliminated that. On top, what's left? I canceled everything out, but there's something in there. It's a 1. And then I'm plugging 5 into these spots. So 5 plus 5, the square root of 5 plus 4, plus 3. So this is 10. What's the square root of 5 plus 4? Plus 3? 6. So that'd be 160. Walmer, starting to have anger management issues directed at you. You're going to have to fix those. Not me. Okay. How many got 160? How many were there before I did? Like you were hating me. Okay. Alright. Questions on that one anywhere? What'd you do here? I don't know why this happened. Let's try this. Don't write that yet. That one right there. No. It's not even close to it. It's kind of cool. Does that matter? 2 ways to do this, but I'm going to give you guys a chance to try it before I go through either one of them. Tell me out 16. I'm handing out your homework. I'll go through this question, answer questions, and then I'll be done, and your homework is up to you. Yes.
This is actually on the last problem because I was just really slow getting my answer.
Okay.
So I ended up getting one for somehow, and I am
Thanks.
You just change it. Right. What that means is 10 times square root of 9. Pause. Plus 3. You know what I mean? So technically. That doesn't mean you. It's just
I get it.
Alright. Let me go through. Yeah. No. No. So 2 ways to do it. How many rationalize?
Oh, wait.
Like the thing we just talked about. How many did it a different way? What'd you do? So that's the 2 approaches. You can actually factor this. It doesn't look like you can, but you can. I'll do rationalizing first. So I'm going to multiply by the square root of x plus 9. And then if I multiply these two together, what's the square root of x times the square root of x? X. What happens to these two guys in black there? They cancel, and then what's negative 9 times 9? Negative 81. On the bottom, I've got x minus 81 times this new thing. X minus 81's go away. I've got 1 over this, and if I plug in, I end up with, oh God. So it's 1 over the square root of 8 plus 9. And you would leave it, yeah. Yeah. I didn't mean for that to happen. But.
Oh, whoops.
I didn't really expect to have to say this if you count, but if I'm talking, you just happen to be the one this time. It's one where it's been a few of you. If I'm talking, you are not. That's like the only rule that I have. You can go to the bathroom whenever you want. You can take your time. I mean, I'm flexible on very many things. You cannot talk all the time. Alright, the factoring way, so this is a little bit, it's just not what you're used to. If I have like x squared minus 16, what does that break down into? X plus 4x minus 4. So what did you really just do? You took the square root of the x squared and you put it in those two spots. You took the square root of the 16 you put it in those two spots. You threw a plus in one of them, minus the other. Right? That's like your general pattern. There's no reason I can't do it with this. Usually you wouldn't have there'd be no point to it, but I could factor this and say, well, that's the square root of x plus 9 times the square root of x minus 9. That's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's a totally valid thing to do. And then on the top, you still have this. Those cancel. And you end up in the same spot. So I think this is probably like a little more advanced way to do it, because you have to like see, okay, well, I can do this factoring thing to make my life easier. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. It'll still get you there. It's just a different route. Everybody do this way? So you do that. Anybody else? That's what you did too?
I thought I got it wrong, so that's fine.
That's why I didn't say it.
Yeah.
Any questions I can answer? So, try your homework. I'm curious to see how that goes, and we'll go through it tomorrow. Yeah.
I have a question.
What is it? Just read it.
Limit as x approaches 0, x squared minus 3x minus 4 over x squared minus 4x.
So I would go x minus 4, x plus 1, and then x times x minus 4. And I'm still screwed.
Yeah.
You can't do number 3. That's a terrible problem. I don't know who wrote that. That's ridiculous. Yeah, sorry. Thank you for pointing out. Skip number 3. Skip 3. Whoever wrote that. Thank you.
Mr. Davis. Did you write this?
Yes.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You tried to play it off as whoever wrote that.
I didn't try to play it off. That was pretty obvious, I